All right, so today, we're diving deep into the Cardano blockchain. You know, we hear a lot about it, but I want to peel back the layers and see what's actually being built, what's changing on the ground right now. We're going to see what it all means for this whole ecosystem. So yeah, let's get into it.
So I really want to frame this whole thing around one big question. We hear this phrase all the time, right? Building in public. But what does that actually look like, day to day? Because let's be real, it's not always this perfect, polished thing. It's messy. It's not a straight line from A to B. But the one thing it is always moving.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about the foundational stuff. I mean, think about it. Before you can build skyscrapers and theme parks, you gotta have roads, you gotta have power. It's the same here. We're talking about the bedrock of this whole digital city.
And a perfect example of this is World Mobile. Now, check out this number. Over $800,000. That's how much they've already paid out in rewards to their AirNode operators. You know, the actual people running the hardware for this network. So this isn't just some idea on a whiteboard. This is a real, live, community-powered network, and it's working. And speaking of working, it is growing and it's growing fast. Get this, over 80,000 AirNodes have been sold. Every single one of those is a little piece of this decentralized mobile network, literally expanding its physical footprint all over the world.
And that global footprint? Yeah, it just got bigger. This number, 48, represents brand new roaming agreements that World Mobile just locked in. This is exactly how a digital project starts to bridge that gap into the real physical world, making the whole thing way more valuable for everybody involved.
Okay, so another piece of that core infrastructure puzzle is Nuvola Drive. Think decentralized storage. And what's so interesting here is that we're not talking about some big flashy launch. Now, this is the less glamorous but absolutely crucial stuff. We're talking core upgrades to make the UI smoother, performance faster, even adding Excel previews. It's the kind of quiet behind-the-scenes work that tells you a product is really maturing.
So, you've got the infrastructure, right? The roads are paved. But how do you make sure the lights stay on? How do these projects actually survive long-term? Well, that brings us to our next big idea, these new economic models built for sustainability. We're talking about inventing the economy of tomorrow, right here.
And one of the coolest concepts popping up is what's called an asset-backed strategy. The idea is actually pretty simple, but it's super powerful. Instead of just living off of token sales, which can be volatile, a project takes a chunk of its money and invests it into real-world things that actually make money. We're talking stuff like Bitcoin miners or even those World Mobile nodes we just mentioned. It's like the project is getting a real job, you know?
And here's how it actually plays out in the real world. Take this partnership between Perps and BankFi. So Perps has this public mint, right? But instead of keeping all that cash, they take half of it, and they invest it directly into those revenue-generating assets, the BTC mining, the World Mobile nodes. This creates this incredible, sustainable income stream for the Perps project. And what does that do? It allows them to reward their community. It becomes this self-sustaining flywheel built for the long haul.
All right, so we've laid the foundation, we've figured out the economy. Now it's time for the fun stuff. We're moving up the stack to the things you can actually see and touch and play with, the user-facing experiences. This is where all that code finally comes alive as games, metaverses, and brand new worlds.
And this slide perfectly captures what building in public is all about. On the one hand, you've got all this awesome new stuff in the latest update for Infinity Rising. A whole new hub city, a PvP arena, new enemies. It's super exciting. But then you look at the other side, the known issues. PvE bugs, AI logic problems, players glitching out. It's the messy reality. And this transparency is everything. It's an honest-to-goodness look at how the sausage gets made.
And at the exact same time all that deep, complicated game development is going on, you have this. Just a simple, quick, 24-hour Halloween promo from another project, Walkers. And I love this because it's such a great reminder that an ecosystem isn't just one thing. You've got these massive, long-term projects chugging along, and right next to them, you've got quick, snappy marketing moves. It's all happening at once.
But okay, it's not all smooth sailing and Halloween promos. What happens when things get tough? You know, when the numbers just aren't going the way you want them to? This brings us to a really crucial part of the story, the challenge of growth, and the hard truth that sometimes standing still just isn't an option.
And wow, just listen to this quote from the team at Necro League. Cardano has been struggling for a while. Volume is low, people are leaving the chain, price is just getting lower and lower. I mean, that is brutally honest. They're not sugarcoating anything, they're just laying it all out there. And that kind of honesty, that's what sets the stage for a massive, dramatic change in strategy. So what do you do when you're faced with that? You pivot. And this isn't about giving up. Far from it. This is about adapting to survive and thrive. Their plan is bold. They're going to expand to a whole new chain, one with higher volume for gaming. They're relaunching their token there. But, and this is so important, they're airdropping the new token to all their original Cardano holders. They're taking care of their loyal community. On top of that, they're rebranding to become a laser-focused gaming studio. It's a huge move.
And this isn't just talk, right? It's a real, concrete plan with a timeline. Look at this. They're snapshotting their Cardano holders now to make sure they get rewarded. The new token is launching soon, and they have release dates locked in for their next 2 games. This is a serious, forward-looking strategy that was born out of a really tough situation. Okay, so let's take a breath. We've seen infrastructure getting built from the ground up. We've seen new economic models being invented. We've seen virtual worlds coming to life with all their bugs and glory. And we've seen projects making incredibly tough pivots. So what does all this motion, what does it actually tell us? Let's put the pieces together. This table really brings it all home, doesn't it? You've got these different strategies, these different roles that projects are playing. You've got your foundational growth, the world mobiles of the world, building the stable ground for everyone else. Then you've got economic innovation like Perps, banks, figuring out how to make it all last. Then, of course, the experiential creation, the Infinity Risings actually delivering the fun. And finally, you have strategic adaptation, the Necro Leagues, making the hard choices to pivot and grow. Every single one is a vital piece of the puzzle.
And that brings us all the way back to that first question we asked. When you see all of this happening at once, the exciting stuff, the buggy stuff, the painful pivots, it's easy to look at it and just see chaos. But what if it's not chaos? What if this constant change, this nonstop iteration and adaptation, what if that's just the very definition of creation? Maybe this is just what it looks like when something new is being born, right in front of our eyes. Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.